After you have worked a lot on flat water movement, it's now time to start to work in white water. One of the first and most important fundamental, it's the get in and get out of the current. This movement is crucial to learn how to cross the eddy line between the eddy and the current. Almost all beginners have problems to get in and get out of the eddy because it's a moment that it creates instability. It's very hard to define, and it's also incorrect, I think, to define a correct way to get in and out of the eddies. That's many ways. You can lean forward, you can lean back, you can use a closed angle, or you can point downstream. There's so many ways to get in and get out of the eddy. What I feel to do is try to get you an advice to learn a way to start and to begin to get in and get out of the eddies. What you can see here is exactly what I think it should be the first way you learn to get into the eddies. Let's now begin, and we will focus at the beginning to the entrance into the eddy because it's probably easier to learn. Here you can see what I consider a very good entrance in the eddy. It uses a nice stroke called the rudder stroke, as it's very important to practice this in flat water first. So my advice is to go on the tutorial first about the rudder stroke. I love to explain how to get in and get out of the eddy using three ingredients. The first one is the speed. It's very important to be faster than the water, not just fast. You need to be faster than the current. This sometimes can be tricky because you could think you are moving fast, but you're actually following the current speed. So you need to actually be faster than the current. The speed is very important because we want to stay less time as possible between the eddies and the current. The second ingredient is the angle. We need to get into the eddy using a 45 degrees angle pointing downstream. You can see here a couple of examples where I can show you the right angle to get into the eddy. The eddy will think to turn your nose up. We don't have to do in advance. This is probably one of the most common mistakes of the beginners. They try to turn the boat before actually to get into the eddy. You can see here from the kayak point of view. Also, if you are getting with the wrong angle, even like 90 degrees, it sometimes gets a lot of you can get a lot of problem of instability between the eddy line. In order to do this, it's very important to anticipate the eddy. You really need to think in advance and start moving towards the eddy before you can actually see the eddy really close. It's very important to be in advance because you should be able to keep your nose pointing downstream all the time. Now we can get to the third ingredient, which is the position of the weight. It can be in different places, in the front, in the back, leaning on the side, and as you can see here, you can move your weight basically all around the cockpit area. You need to place to get on the eddy in the upstream side in the backward area. We have to move the weight, this is very important, only when we really cross the eddy line, not before. It's very common to see people that do that too much in advance. If we don't take the weight in the right place, the consequences are pretty easy to understand. You can normally have big unbalance problem or even flip. Now it's time to see how to get into the current. Again, we will see the three ingredients. The first one is the speed. You can see like this is correct because we are fast. If we are slow, you could have problem. Normally, who is a bit scared of getting to the current tend to go a little bit too slow. This is actually not a really good thing because you could get into more problem. let's see the second ingredient. This is the angle you want to get into the current. It's like into the eddy. You need to point upstream. You need to keep your nose up towards upstream. With a very good angle, your kayak will have no problem to get into the current. If you try to get 90 degrees into the current, you will have a strong push that tend to give instability. Let's see now the third ingredient. It's again the weight. We need to put our weight on the backside a little bit downstream. If you place your weight correctly, the kayak will get in without any problem. Let's talk now about the strokes. To get in and get out of the eddy, the rudder stroke could be really, really useful to control the direction and avoid to lose energy on strong strokes. Moreover, the rudder stroke can help the stability because it can use as a point where to lean and to help yourself to stay in the balance. But again, this is not a rule. It's not that you have to get in and get out with a rudder stroke. As soon as you are stable and you go where you want to go, it's fine. So you can also use a power stroke, a circular stroke, or wherever you want. I hope I helped you, and you can find more tutorial in the techniques section of my website.